Hello and welcome to the 5-Year Plan podcast. Pod 628. We'll be discussing Palace's 0-0 draw with Sunderland at the weekend, picking some 3-2-1 points, chatting about some other bits and bobs around Palace at the moment, and briefly previewing the visit of some insignificant club on Tuesday night to Selhurst Park. Joining me, Jim Daly, is Jack Pearce. Jack, how are you?
I'm good. Yes, that's Jim. Yeah, feeling good after a Greek retreat. So, all good. All good.
It was lovely to hear from you out there. Lack of waves, as we said at the time on your voice note.
Sorry.
I assume you were around some waves at some point.
I was around some waves at some point, some cicadas. I saved the audio effects for other podcasts.
Yeah, we know who that is. Did you get to any Greek football? Or was that
I think I pushed the line by getting out one evening to watch Palace annihilate Villa. And then also plan a European tour under the dinner table. That was a tricky mission, but accomplished some part. But I don't think I got away with it as much as I probably thought I did at the time. So.
Well done. We'll have plenty of European coverage coming up in the next few weeks, which is mad to say on the podcast, but we will be delving into that, of course. Joe Walker is also here. Joe, sad to say, an injured Joe Walker is also here.
Self-inflicted. It looks like I've had a fight, which if this was recorded after Millwall, it would be a very convenient fib. But I just burnt my mouth on a bit of pizza. That's how embarrassing is that. You know, normally...
It happens.
Yeah, but normally it's the inside of the mouth that gets that you know, you peel your skin away. It burnt my lip, and now you won't be able to see, listeners. It's generally, I've looked like I've been had a scrap. It's an embarrassing injury.
I might put this episode on YouTube purely so people can see the extent of your injury.
Yeah, but you should see the pepperoni pizza.
Yeah,
yes.
Demolished.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, mate, but I'm glad you could join us. Thank you for being here. Lads, a bit of admin, in a way, kind of describes Palace Sunderland, actually. A bit of admin. This Thursday we've got the Neil Warnock live show at the Palladium. Are you guys looking forward to that? We will be there. I think quite a few FYP listeners will be there. A couple of our competition winners will be there as well. Jack, you looking forward to that?
I am. A night at the Palladium. Yeah. Bruce Forsyth, Jimmy Tarbuck, all the musicals that have been there. Neil Warnock. Yeah, it's quite the bill. Looking forward to it. Should be good to hear Neil. He's confirmed that Simon Jordan's a guest, hasn't he? But then there are some other kind of surprise faces.
Have they been announced? Because I've just been texting a couple of them now. But have they been announced? I don't know if they have. A couple of Palace names. One of them in particular is very looking forward to seeing us, who has been on the podcast recently, Jack, with you and I.
So I don't know who that is.
So okay. All right. You just have a little think. Go back through the old. It's not Aaron Wilbraham. It's not Johnny Williams. Joe, you're looking forward to that on Thursday. It should be a good night.
Yeah, because he's such a charismatic guy. He's going to have anecdotes for days, and if he does need a little bit of reminding, which is possible given his age now, there's plenty of other special guests and people to prod him in the right direction. I think it's going to be quite funny. I really do. You know, you don't have to be a comedian to be funny. I think Neil Warnock's just going to be, whether he knows it or not, hilarious across.
I think him and Jordan is going to be genuinely very interesting. I think.
Do you think he's going to need to dip into the Ryan Hall stories again, Joe?
No. I suppose he might have already forgotten who he is again.
Do you think since we interviewed him, so what was that, 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago? Do you think he has Googled Ashley Paul Robinson?
Quite possibly. I think I was on the back page of the Sun while it was on the time, but you're talking about 50 odd years of management. Yeah. It's all blurs into one, I suppose. But yeah, I thought when we had time with him, I did think, let me go niche as possible, because he won't have been asked about these people, and we got some juice out of that.
It was good. It was good.
Worthwhile.
I believe there are tickets available. I don't know. I know they're sold a lot. So if you're listening to this and you haven't bought a ticket, you want to go, I'll put the link below. I assume there's some left. If it's sold out, I apologise. But if you're going, hope to see you there. If you see us, come and say hi. It'd be lovely to see some FYP faces. Quick note, if you're on the Patreon feed, there's an offer in the show notes just for FYP listeners, and that's the last you'll hear of that, but regular public feed people will get more of that later on. A reminder that we've got our Clinton Morrison live podcast, speaking of live events, at Selhurst Park, Thursday the 16th of October. There are a few tickets left for that, but not many. So if you want to go to that, fyplive.eventbrite.co.uk is the link, 20 quid tickets, and that is a 7:30pm kickoff. And I'm sure that I know Clinton will be on good form. And we'll put some of that on the feed, but not all of it. So if you want to get all of that, turn up on the night. And another reminder, if you like football and comedy, I am doing a football comedy night with three other very big acts off the interwebs. Oh my God, I'm so old. Off the internet. Josh James, James Gardner and the Exploding Heads. And that is Wednesday the 29th of October at Backyard Comedy Club. Tickets are £10 for that, which is an absolute bargain. So if you fancy come along to that, backyardcomedyclub.co.uk is the website. Click on their What's On section and we'll see you there. So loads to get in the diary, listener. So fill it up and we'll see you at all of those events, hopefully. Right, we've put off...
You doing any Strasbourg comedy clubs when we're over there, are you? Doing anything over there?
No, I suspect Palace might be doing the comedy in Strasbourg.
Come on now, have a bit of faith, mate.
We can't make those jokes anymore because we're too good. It's too annoying. We're too good.
I want to unbeaten record of time of a generation.
No, I actually think it'll be a lovely. We are all going to that. We'll maybe talk about that in future. But we are all going to that and staying in the same venue, I think, aren't we, that night? So it's going to be...
Well, I hope so. You've booked it, mate, so I hope so.
Well, only one of you's paid for it, so... I think we might even I'll take the pod equipment and see if we can do a sort of post-match pod in Strasbourg. Maybe on the sort of in the squares of Strasbourg after the game. Who knows? We'll do something.
Squares of Stuttgart, mate. We're touring. We're doing a multi-nation trip. It's
going to be. It is mad, even just to think about it. That the next few months are going to be absolutely crazy with certainly these trips, even the home games. We'll embrace it all. There'll be tons of content. As ever, if you want more content and you're listening on the public feed, specifically around those European games, join the FYP Clubhouse. Again, link is below. The link is always below. It's patreon.com/FYP podcast. Previews, post-match, supplements. I think there's a supplement being recorded tonight, actually, for that as well, with Dom and Selsey. So this is the time to join because there's going to be so much content over the next few months, certainly around Europe. So get on board. The Discord group as well is popping off at the moment. So there you go. Right. We're 7 minutes in, guys. We should probably talk about Palace versus Sunderland. A 0-0 draw. I wasn't there at the weekend. I was playing in a five-a-side tournament at my daughter's school. We placed. We came third. It was out of 4 teams, unfortunately. But, you take the wins where you can.
Just to be clear, listen, he wasn't playing against primary school children and still came third. No.
We were playing against parents and the PE teacher from the school, who it turns out was quite tasty, actually. So I think he just wanted to...
Was he good at football?
Show off. He was both, actually. Yeah, lovely bloke. Lovely. Great hair. Great hairline. Let's talk about Palace versus Sunderland, Joe. I did watch the highlights, and it looked like one of those games that actually on another day Palace could have come away with a comfortable display. It looked like it was Robin Roos, I think is his name, the Sunderland goalkeeper, put in a fantastic display. Essentially, he was the difference between the two teams. Did you come away from that disappointed, or that it was one of those games?
Disappointed, sure. Not worried at all. I kind of turned up knowing that Sarr wouldn't play, that Wharton wouldn't play. We'd have to adjust accordingly, and then at least one of the new signings was going to come in for a start without having really had much time on a training ground to be drilled in the ways of Oliver Glasner's Palace. In Uche's case, landed Friday morning from Heathrow, went straight to the training ground, and that was his only interaction with the team. So, Pino started in the end. I knew that there might be some. We wouldn't run riot. However, being the Palace that we are right now, I knew we wouldn't have to worry about anything defensively. So it was just about, can we break them down? And even when things have been going really well, that hasn't always been the case. I think to Ipswich at home last season, when it took a little bit of magic from Sarr in the absence of others to make something happen. I think did Ebbs miss? I think Ebbs might have missed that game. Someone missed that game.
Mateta missed that one, yeah.
Right, Mateta. And so there are games that are going to be that tight, and we've already looked at prior home game. Forest was another one like that, with Ebbs missing, going, okay, we're having to adjust quite late in the day to a player not being here without a replacement yet. How are we going to cope? And So it doesn't surprise me that we didn't make the breakthrough. We did do enough to win it and have the chances. In it, like, Pino's chance is gigantic. And I suppose he is the story of that game from a Palace perspective. Sunderland keeper did his job very, very well. As did, I think, one of the centre-halves that kind of done a job on Mateta as well, actually. I thought it was pretty impressive. But, they've spent a serious amount of money. But, yeah, no, I saw lots to be excited about. Pino we saw him on both sides of the pitch in terms of the wide positions. When he was in the Ebbs position, that has been vacated, he looked a lot more, just way more kind of creative, active, proactive. He wanted the ball all the time. There's lots of good instincts. He was doing really good things. He was rushing a fair few things, I would say, kind of just doing his own thing. But I think it bodes extremely well for what's to come. But perhaps if this game was played in 3 weeks' time, I think we would have won it.
Yeah, I do, Jack. I do think Sunderland they've actually spent quite well. They had a good start to the season, some good results already, and by all accounts, they did marshal Palace very well. And the goalkeeper was good. I think Joe you put out a tweet saying it might be the best. I don't know if I hope it was you. The best promoted team to come to Sellers for some time. Maybe.
I can't claim to that one.
Someone else. But anyway, general sort of consensus from Palace fans seems to be
I'll tweet it now so that counts.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, good. Just tweet it all ends up. The Sunderland, maybe even sort of good for their point. Obviously, some big saves, some roughs, particularly from Kamada a couple of times. But Pino, I was really interested to hear about because we knew he was going to start. Given the lack of options, and we know that this squad, in terms of options, is certainly going forward. It is sort of down to the bare bones already. I was really intrigued to see, firstly, how he'd get on, and secondly, sort of how Palace fans would react to him. I was at Villa Park 2 weeks ago, and he looked brilliant in that last 15 minutes. But it's a very different game to playing at home to Sunderland, coming on, a team that are 3-0 up and cruising. Very different game. I suspect we will see quite a lot of similar games to this when teams will come and defend behind the ball and low block and invite Palace to break them down. And I think Joe's right. In a couple of weeks' time, if this game was in a month's time, I think Pino probably scores that goal because he's a bit more settled. But what was your general assessment of our new Spaniard at number 10?
I really liked elements of his performance on Saturday. Very engaged throughout. Wanted to be involved defensively, but more importantly going forward throughout, whether it was from the right or the left, as Joe says. I was in the Arthur on Saturday, so I got to see him quite close in both halves, which is a rare experience. And while that missed opportunity is obviously the big takeaway, the defining moment in the game, really, I guess at that point of the game, it won't take away from the positives of his performance because there were some fantastic things that he did. His drop of the shoulder, his first touch is fantastic. His ability to find space looks very, very good. And he also looks ready to go. He's had a pre-season with Villarreal. He'd be starting for Villarreal and playing 90 minutes for them this season. He'd be
captain of Villarreal.
He'd be playing in the Champions League tomorrow night. He'd be starting in the Champions League tomorrow night if he was still there. So it's not a signing. Even Ismail Assar this time last year was coming in drips. We were getting 15 minutes of him at a time. And it wasn't really until the November international break where he was able to play. And I know Pino got taken off with, I think, 5 or so regulation minutes to go, but I think a bit more of the game to go for Kristantas Uche, who I think, this is a Joe Walker quote, charmed me on Saturday, I have to say. I'm intrigued to see a bit more of him. But in terms of Pino, you can see why he's as highly rated as he is now, let alone when he first burst onto the scene for Villarreal. His technical ability looks to be up there. It will take him some time to acclimatise, but you cannot accuse him of shying away on Saturday. He wanted to be involved in everything. And I liked his diligence going back. I think he helped out that way. But yeah, technically very, very good. And his familiarity with colleagues and teammates will build over the next few weeks. And I expect to see him kind of increasing confidence and output quite quickly, actually.
He was a bit naughty. He would leave a foot in.
That's what I liked it. But yeah. I liked it.
Interesting.
There were at least 2 or 3 challenges that I thought we could get booked here.
Actually, the player that he reminded me of, and I don't want to raise expectations, and I do not expect us to be talking about Yeremy Pino in the same way. I've seen accusations. I've seen accusations of me over playing it with Daniel Munoz a few weeks ago. I think I was fairing my comment about it, but anyway, I actually, in terms of his technical ability, someone like David Silva, he's okay. He's okay to play the English way. He's going to get stuck in, but he's got that technical ability, which means he's going to make the difference. There was a dropping of the shoulder in the first 5 minutes of the second half, which had me off my seat. It was fantastic. And given that I was in the disabled seating, I really should have been sat down. But, it's fine. I had to stand up. It was just a touch of the class that he's going to bring. He's going to be different to Ebbs. It's not an Ebbs replacement, but in terms of replacing what Ebbs brought to the team, I think Yeremy Pino will bring it just in a slightly different way.
I thought you were going to say Kabay, but I think that may be influenced by the fact that Joe was talking about leaving the foot in.
No, I think David Silva would get stuck in.
Thinking about Johan Kabay sometimes.
Johan Kabay, it's nice to mention. We've not mentioned him for a few months, but no, I could, and I'm not saying he's as good as David Silva, and I don't think he will reach that level. But David Silva settled into English football very, very quickly, despite supposedly being this Spanish number 10 who was going to make the difference in the top end of the pitch. But no, David Silva got stuck in and was a regimented part of that City team very, very quickly. And I can see Yeremy Pino doing the dirty work as well as having that touch of class at the top end of the pitch too.
It does sound very exciting, and I think similar to Sarr joining last year, there will probably, Palace will have to adapt again to another player that plays slightly differently, and he'll have to adapt to Palace as well, and there will be a sort of transitional period. But I think we're already, in a better position than last season. We've had a better start in terms of points. I think we could have gone joint fourth if we'd actually won at the weekend. I know it's very, very early days. But I feel like we're in sort of quite a positive position. I'm interested to know about Uche then, Joe. I know it was literally only a couple of minutes and he's literally just straight off the plane. But again, I've seen other Palace fans sort of talking, this guy's, got some promise. So again, if he and Pino can settle, we could have some really good options and Sarr comes back. But let me know your thoughts on our new guy.
He's a lump, so he was quite tall, quite strong, without being over too muscly, but quite big, broad-shouldered. He put a cross in that the way he did it. I think if I tried to do that now for you guys, I'd fall over.
You'd dislocate your knee. Yeah.
He was sort of taking on the fullback with his left foot, and then just a sort of change of the body shape, and had crossed it in with his right as an in-swing. I thought, have you done that all in one motion without falling on your ass? He seems very. I'm sort of, the narrative, the stuff you'd heard about him prior to playing for Palace, all of that was in my mind. It's perhaps influencing my opinion of him and what I saw. But there was enough there to feed all this idea of not a guy that's come through the academies, not a robot at all, but has all the athleticism of a Premier League or above footballer. He's going to be a nightmare. I think we've got another sort of chaotic option who has some technique about him as well as that. It's not just pure, like early Mateta where we're going, there's something here we can't quite work. If it works, I don't know, does he know what's going on? I felt like Uche knew what was going on.
Early Balassi vibes.
Yeah, but it felt, I felt like he knew exactly what he was doing, but it just was quite unusual to see for someone that big to be doing all that. And
he bought the theatre as well with that penalty claim as well.
Yeah,
he loves the drama.
What were your guys' thoughts on that? Because I
still haven't seen it.
Yes, haven't seen it. It's one of those where, I guess in theory, but they never.
Is the defender? What's the defender meant to do? There would probably be my argument. He's got to
try
and block
the
shot.
You're gonna be seriously annoyed.
Yeah. But I mean, he rolled and rolled and then rolled again, and it caused a bit of a melee. Which in the just the climate on Saturday, which we probably should talk about for a minute. We had all seasons on Saturday. It did bring a bit of a drama to what was a relatively dry game. There were moments where you thought this could be an iconic game. If Palace nick a late winner here, we're going to be talking about that 1-0 against Sunderland. Particularly if it's Uche that grabs it, it really would have been the making of him. But
if he played 20 minutes, I think he could have. It wouldn't have shocked me if he'd scored. Cause
you can see why he's got. You can see he's got a goal in him, can't you? He's definitely. He wants to be involved. He was shrugging Premier League defenders off him. He's. I think again, a bit like Pino, he's ready to go, and that's what Glasner wants. Albeit they're probably 6 to 8 weeks later than he would have wanted them. He's got Premier League ready players, And I know we're going to talk about his comments before the Millwall game and the expectation that we're going to see Uche tomorrow night, but I expect Uche to contribute to the Premier League campaign quite quickly.
We've got a proper, Nketiah's coming back and all stuff. But we look like we've got a proper super sub there at least, which is very nice to have.
Yeah. I'm quite excited. I'm genuinely quite excited by all this. On paper, they look like quite a sort of dull 0-0, but actually it's nice to know there was quite a lot of sort of positivity around it. And
in some ways,
I'm intrigued to see these options settle in.
In some ways, Saturday reminded me of the Leicester game this time last year, the same weekend. New signings coming in, but we looked a lot more put together. And I know Sunderland looked impressive, and I agree entirely that they were a lot better put together promoted team than we've seen in recent years. But they didn't offer the goal threat. I think their XG was pitiful, and defensively we were excellent. Gay, Lacroix, Richards especially, dominant and very good, marshalled by an excellent goalkeeper. But they did present a challenge. I think the likes of Xhaka, Diarra in midfield, that was a competitive game for Palace. So I don't think a point, while we didn't take all three, on another day they could have nicked all three. But I think a point was probably fair. I didn't leave thinking I've seen fans describe it as points dropped. I don't think it was, Joe. That for me, in the ground at the time, I felt it was a fairly balanced Premier League game, and if we had nicked it, I'd have been delighted. But I think there would have been a degree of nicking in it from Palace's perspective.
I suppose that Pino chance is enough to win the game.
That's true,
and I don't think Sunderland had a chance close to that.
No,
and had that gone in, it might have opened up a little bit as well. But yeah, I saw its points drop, perhaps based on the opposition. And if you were to start the season without any context of starting lineups and who's available, we need to win those kind of games to achieve what we want to.
Yeah.
In that case, yes, the points dropped, but as I said at the start, I was not worried coming away from there. I thought that's just one of those.
And whereas you might have been worried after the Leicester 2-2 last September.
Yeah, there was more work to do coming away from that one.
Yeah, I think we're as I said, we're in a better place. A year on, I do think as a club we're in a better. We're literally in a better place. We're in Europe, but I think
we're FA Cup.
I know we're 1-2 trophies. What's going on? But I think actually in terms of everything, start to the season, I think it's all looking quite good. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to talk about that back three and another clean sheet. I'm just going to work in the stats here. I'll ask you both actually, and then I'll do the advert and I'll make it into more of a 4 or 5 minute bit, which I think tends to be the way they like to do it. Who knows? Anyway. Welcome back to the FYP podcast. It's time to talk about the back three, which got another clean sheet. According to Squawker, that is 11 clean sheets in the 19 games that Richards, Gay and Lacroix have played together. And I did my own little stats because it is now 10 Premier League games unbeaten, which is a record. So another Glasner record. And in those, 5 of them are clean sheets, and I assume that is with that back three as well. Jack, obviously, we talked a lot about Gahey in the last few weeks, and he has stayed, and now we've got him at least till January. This particular back three, Richards, Gahey and Lacroix, they are excellent. For you, are they up there as the best, back line, back three, whatever you want to say, of all time?
Oh, yeah, this defensive unit is the best I've seen. 100%. Like, you as a fan, you'll have your favourites over the years, and it might be Chris Coleman, Eric Young. It might be, Craig Moore. I know features highly in those kind of cult players that we had for a small amount of time. Damo and Dan, and we've had some great centre halves over time. Mamadou Sakho, James Tompkins, partnerships that have really, had good spells. But as a trio, as a unit, what they've achieved over the last, approaching a year now since Trevor Chalobah went back to Chelsea, has been nothing short of miraculous. And if you think in terms of investment, Mark Gay around about 20 million, Maxence Lacroix around about 20 million, Chris Richards around about 15 million, 55 million pounds for that defensive unit, where you see what individual centre halves have cost certain clubs around the Premier League. Max Kilman, 45 million pounds. It's wild as to the value that those guys have had. And I was listening to you guys while I was away talk about Mark Gay, and I absolutely agree with. And I saw Joe's. At worst rant, at best plea. I loved it. I thought it was absolutely spot on about the importance of keeping Mark Gay as a fan. The Palace's bank balance shouldn't supersede your feelings as a fan, and keeping Mark Gay and seeing him lead the team out on on Saturday, and we're going to see him lead the club out in Europe in weeks and months to come. I'm delighted by that and very happy with the way it played out, particularly if the suitable replacement wasn't there. So as a unit, for me, absolutely, and quite possibly the best in the country at the moment.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. I mean, the other mad thing about supporting Palace in 2025, Joe, is that people outside the club do talk in those kind of categories, that it might be the best back three in the Premier League. We might have the best right back in the Premier League. We might have one of the best, well, we do have one of the best strikers in the Premier League. But watching this back three, and you guys sort of touched on it there in part one, you feel so secure and safe. Like, really, you know it's going to take something special to beat them. Certainly when you're playing teams like Sunderland. Or I do think the promoted teams this year are stronger than in recent years. And I don't think it'll be quite as simple as all three going back down again, that certainly Sunderland and Burnley have shown in the opening weeks of the season. But this back three is kind of they're a joy to watch, and actually a bit of an honour to watch in many ways, because you just feel so safe.
100%. It's tough with the comparisons, because this is a free, and very rarely we actually had a free compared to the partnerships as a duo. But yeah, you're talking about England's best defender currently, who plays for Palace. You've got an absolute
Nathaniel Klein.
Yes, Nathaniel Klein. Alongside him, an absolute magnet to the ball in Chris Richards. We cannot overstate just how he wins absolutely everything in the air.
I'm going to assume USA's best defender. I don't know if that's much.
I would assume so.
Well, Tim Ream would like a word with you, but
he is. Think about all our concerns about him this time last year. Has he got a pass in his locker? Is it actually going to hold us back? When you think about how much more adventurous Chalobah was in terms of on the ball, that conversation has not been had for a long time. Yeah. And then in the middle, who I've just seen today, Palace announced it. That was his 50th game for Palace, Maxence Lacroix.
He hasn't missed many. He hasn't missed
12
any.
months he's been here.
Yeah.
I know we fight every frontier under Glasner. 50 already. And so that speaks a lot to his availability. And, you might not need two hands to count the amount of times he's had a problem day. And a lot of those were early on. A couple of them on the right side of the free, which he's exactly where he's meant to be now. And the strikers that do give him a little bit of a nightmare, for the most part, were like Erling Haaland and, that really good strikers. Like, that could be forgiven. But he is one of the most exciting young centre-backs in the league, although he's probably the same age as Mark Gay, but I just think of them. So, yeah. I trust wholeheartedly in all of them. And we've got them for however long we've got them. Enjoy it, and let's see what we can achieve, because we've seen we can shut it out against any team. Any team.
Somebody described Maxence Lacroix as the best uncapped player in the Premier League. And given that he's a French centre-half, he's dealing with some serious competition, but it probably is due him to get a French cap at some point, and it might need a move away from Palace at some point for him to kind of get that starch on him. It wasn't lost to me that... Exactly. This manager is very much a man who you need to build his trust, and he's got centre-halves and he's got players like Saliba ahead of him. But I saw it, I thought that's a bit of a brave comment. But actually, if you actually broaden it just beyond English players who are uncapped, Maxence Lacroix probably is one of the best uncapped players in the Premier League. He's been incredible. What a signing. I mean, his debut was that Leicester game that we mentioned in part one. So it is a year, and he's played 50 games. Like, he was just played straight away, as he should have been, to replace Joachim Andersen. But there's never been a doubt that he was that guy, and he has been superb.
I have to admit, I guess a year ago, or maybe it was after the Forest game.
We posted a clip, didn't we, about what do we think about him?
Yeah. I was texting one of the FYP family, I won't say who, and it was actually, I think it was after the Forest game. And that was 10 games in, I think, was it like 9 or 10 games in? And we were all a bit like, And we both agreed that we weren't sure that Kamada and Lacroix would play 50 games each for Palace. And I'm delighted that I couldn't have been more wrong. And in fact, I've just checked, Kamada's on 47. So he's obviously going to make that as well. And I think, is a first-team starter now and has worked incredibly hard to get himself to that position as well.
I wasn't sure about Lacroix. I mean, Lacroix's passing when he first started, it worried me. I thought he was a bit too cocky on the ball. We saw it in that Fulham game when we lost 2-0. He he wanted more time than he was going to get given. But he's learned. He just looks like a player that wouldn't make that mistake again. Cue him making a ridiculous mistake on Saturday at West Ham. But I mean, he is the centrepiece, but the two either side of him are just superb. And both, we could talk about each of them for a whole episode, but as a unit, absolutely. Would you say world class? Given that they all could legitimately start. I mean, Chris Richards and Mark Gay will start for their countries in the World Cup next year.
I think
and it's fair to say Maxence Lacroix could and should play for any other European country, probably. It's ridiculous.
It's mad to say that as a Crystal Palace fan. I think that's the thing. Like, as a Crystal Palace fan of a certain age, I think you have to get over the fact that we've been bad for a long time, that we now are in the realm of having world-class players play for us. And I think as a unit, yes, it probably is.
I'll say it. Is it the best back three in the world? Name me.
Wow.
Name me a counter. I'll be waiting. Message me a counter, because how many back threes are there? And how many are better? Not Man United, tell you that for free.
Yeah.
Well, you only have to watch in this country.
You only have to watch United yesterday and their inability. I know they're dealing with Erling Haaland, who's very, very good, but Manchester United's inability to actually play a back three, let alone be any tier of good or very good, they just can't play that system. Yet this manager has got these three, and I think if players did need to come in, the system would still be effective. But these three in those positions is sensational.
But also man for man. I mean, you're comparing then Maxence Lacroix with Harry Maguire and Mark Gahey with Luke Shaw. You know, so you are literally talking about different levels, and it's Palace, not United, that have got the players at different levels, which is mad.
But you got to remember, you're saying Maxence Lacroix versus an £80 million defender. You're saying Luke Shaw cost £27 million in 2014.
Yeah.
Like, what's happened, what's played out is, we can make that comparison, but in the past, those two have been highly rated than any of our centre halves have been. Gay's beginning to get some credit now outside the club that is almost more than we've given him in 3-2-1 and those kind of performances. But really, that's it. The others, it's kind of just an acknowledgement or people seeing it anecdotally when they play us. But yeah, no, they can give it as good as any, and I'm sure they'd all play in any team.
Got a good goalkeeper behind them.
That helps.
Yeah, does help.
Yeah.
Huge help.
Four, really. I do think as well, what I like about this back three is you've got three very different personalities, which I really enjoy. You've got sort of Uncle Mark on the left with this very sort of calm personality. You've got, I'd say, middle brother Chris Richards, and then you've got younger brother Lacroix, who loves doing his old winding up the fans after the game, and three different characters, but they're
all at church on Sunday, so it's all good.
Exactly. They are. Okay, well, look, love talking about that and could talk about those guys forever. But, guys, when it comes to, and we're talking about the Palace defence, when it comes to our online defence, we all know that that's where NordVPN comes in. And like Palace in the last 15 games, NordVPN's unbeatable. And we've got an exclusive discount for FYP listeners. All you've got to do is go to nordvpn.com/FYP. A reminder that VPNs protect us when we're online, a bit like the way this fantastic back three protect Dean Henderson in goal. And like Mark Gay, NordVPN is quick, reliable, and lets nothing through. NordVPN helps keep our personal data safe, encrypts our traffic, and hides our IP, much like the way Daichi Kamada hides the ball from defenders. And with one click, like a Wharton first-time pass, we can access streaming services and social media sites in other locations. So if we're abroad, we can switch our device's location back to the UK and not miss out on any Palace news. With over 7,900 servers in 126 countries, we can switch our virtual location quicker than a Maxence Lacroix cross-field pass and still access all our apps back home when we're trying to find our accommodation in Strasbourg. Plus, it's incredibly fast, like Yeremy Pino racing down the wing, and works across 10 devices. That includes my phone, my laptop, my telly. It probably works on the old TVs in the Homestead as well. Of course, as I said, an exclusive offer for FYP listeners. Go to nordvpn.com/FYP and you'll get a huge discount on the 2-year plan plus 4 extra months on top. And it's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. So go on, do your online privacy a favour, get NordVPN in your starting lineup. A reminder, that's nordvpn.com/FYP and that link is in the podcast description. Right, a quick break, and we'll be back with some more Palace. Welcome back to the FYP podcast. A few more things before we move on to 3-2-1. Guys, did you both see at Selhurst this weekend a slight change to a certain part of the ground? Any idea what I'm talking about? Something to do with the pitch.
Corner flags.
corner flags, Jack, were shaped?
Triangular.
Which, for our listeners that might not know, is because...
We are FA Cup holders.
But isn't that lovely? I think Julian tweeted about that. Isn't that just another lovely little moment that you only get if you win the cup?
Which I didn't know about until we won it. Basically, it just wasn't something I was ever across. But delighted now to have it. Now it is the case.
Is it only the season that you are the holders, or do you get to have that for forever and a day now?
Don't know. I would
Stay
imagine
tuned,
only
listener.
the season-
Stay tuned, listener. Next week we'll come with the answer.
Because
Find out in 3 years when we finally don't retain it.
Hey.
I would imagine because otherwise there'd be a lot of clubs that would have it. You'd see it at lots
That's
of grounds because tons have won it. But a lovely little moment. So something extra just to enjoy.
You're not talking about the new halftime game there, Jim. Actually, you wouldn't have seen that, would you? But
Go on. No.
they've replaced the halftime penalty shootout with kind of kick the ball towards a target. It didn't really get me going as much as maybe the penalty shootouts have brewed. It's not on my shed, son. Oh no.
Is it not like the old Mitsubishi halftime challenge? Is it?
No. But the on my shed, son. Wix's halftime challenge. That was on my shed, son. That was super.
Do you remember? Were you guys there when someone won the Mitsubishi halftime challenge? And the look on Terry Byfield's face when he realised he had to give away a car was absolutely incredible. I want to say it was like 1999, 2000. But
you think it was Terry's own motor?
Oh man, great times. Joe, a familiar face, something we have seen at Selhurst at the weekend. A former Palace player was back at half-time. Did you recognise him?
Only with a prompt. I mean, the face hadn't changed. Just a lot around it had changed. The hairstyle, the tats. Yeah, hell of a look on Simon Roger, I got to say. Good to see him back. I'm not sure why this game as opposed to others, but who cares? He was back. There's not many Palace players that get to a point of a testimonial, especially now at this point in time where we don't seem to be having them at all. Would Simon Roger have been the last player prior to Julian to get one?
Possibly.
Oh, hang on.
Because I know Kemba had one in there somewhere. Which
Dougie?
I don't know
I
if
think
Dougie
he had one.
Did Dougie not have one?
I don't think so. I remember Kemba's was
it's like cumulative of all kinds of service.
And actually it had some big names back for that. Did you go to Roger's testimonial?
No.
I went to it. I remember it was the start of the 2000.
You played it, didn't you, Jim?
It was Danny Butterfield's debut
Ah.
for Palace, or I guess first game at Selhurst, and it was at home to Tottenham, last pre-season game of the summer, and we lost 4-0. And I think Roger played 5 minutes and went up. It was one of the most sort of like damp squibs of a... Testimonials are supposed to be like 5-5, and the testimony gets a last-minute penalty that's not a penalty. It was not. It was like a very drab pre-season, too serious. It was not... It was the wrong vibe. Unlike Speroni's, where Julian gets to play one half for Palace, one half for Dundee, and it's all a bit of fun. But
Simon Roger, though, quite the servant, top 10 appearance holder for Palace. Probably should be celebrated slightly more than he maybe is. I think there probably were some fans.
At the club? 10 years, probably.
12, I think. Yeah, I mean, he came through the youth system in the early 90s. I think one of those players that was kind of guided through the club by Alan Smith. Then got his
sign from Jack?
Bogdan Regis Town.
Oh yeah, come on. That's a player of yesteryear because you just
£1,000. £1,000.
Really?
I had a quote for some plumbing work for £1,000, which I don't think is worth £1,000. I'd rather have Simon Roger in my airing cupboard. Let me tell you that for nothing. Simon Roger came through that team. Alan Smith kind of guided him through the reserves team, having signed him for Bogdan Regis Town. Played an important part of that promotion team in 93-94. But then just stayed at the club and was a proper part of so many squads, up and down. And then a stalwart of that kind of Koppel team that was having so many youth players. Roger probably was the experienced head for a lot of players. Other players, Dean Austin around, Andy Linnigan around. But, Simon Roger became quite an important figure at the club around that time. And did he leave? Did he go to Brighton? Is that where he left us for and went to play under Koppel at Brighton? Is that where he went?
I think so. And then came back... Might have been the same season, actually, that he'd left. Came back and played. I think played in the 5-0.
He left Palace for Woking and then went to
Right.
Brighton from Woking. So it's almost like he
Interesting.
dropped too far down and went, hang on, I'm a much
I'm bloody good still.
yeah. And yeah, he was at that 5-0 with Koppel. And yeah, couple loans in 96, 97, but you're talking about a handful of games, like 6 games for Stoke, 8 for City. I think pretty much here the whole time.
For younger fans, in terms of like the way he played, his left foot, his reliability, I'd say like the 90s Will Hughes, if you want kind of a
It's not a bad shout, actually.
context. Very reliable player. But Jack, just briefly talk us through the haircut from Saturday, in case anyone. I would say it looks like he looks more like he's either sort of one of the lesser known sort of WWE stars, or possibly is on like one of those like Channel 5 shows about like a pawn shop. That kind of vibe.
Or the lesser known member of the Backstreet Boys. That's where I was going to go.
But now.
But
Like
now,
in the comeback tour.
Yeah. The curtains have gone. It's now kind of that slick back ponytail type thing. What were those? Who were those brothers? They in the WWE wrestling? Were they the Hardy brothers? Joe,
Hardy
Boys. The Hardy brothers were a crime fighting. Anyway, Lister doesn't want to know this, but yeah, lovely to see Simon Roger on the pitch, and he got a fairly warm welcome. I'm sure there were Sunderland fans thinking, given that they've been on the piss since about 4 a.m, probably thinking, what is happening here?
Oh man, a proper servant. Good to see him back. Let's move on to something slightly more sort of serious, Joe. I guess it was in his pre-match press conference, I guess for the Sunderland game, Glasner talked about... And I guess
what a segue. Sorry, I've got to comment. What a segue.
From Simon Rogers' mullet to Glasner's future. What more do you want? We cover everything on the podcast. I guess it was the first time it must have been the first press conference since deadline day, that he talked about, I guess, everything that went down. He talked about Mark, but specifically the sort of rumours that he'd threatened to leave Palace to basically force Parish into keeping Mark Gahey. The direct quote here is, "I never threatened to leave the club. Never. I didn't have to threaten anybody. There were no bad tensions between the chairman and myself. It was really just a decision about sports." And he decided against the money and for the sporting perspective of Crystal Palace, big credit to the chairman. What did you make of that?
It's tough because it could quite easily be the party line to that's what we say. Why do we need to cast open a little, give a little glimpse into any tensions between us in the back? But if we should choose to take it at face value, that does seem to make more sense with things that, as it all unravelled, that Steve Parish had a personal trainer appointment at 6 p.m. on deadline day. That's more the actions of a man that knows he's not going to sell Mark Gahey rather than someone that's completely lost the plot. So that does make sense a little bit. I guess you would have, if you're Parish, you're not having that conversation with Ola Glasner at 5 to 9 on deadline day. You're having it the day before, whenever that bid came in several days before, and say, look, if that player doesn't arrive, do we just leave it?
Is that because hot yoga starts at 9?
Maybe actually. I don't know. If you take a deep breath and forget how it all played out and just think about what would rational businessmen and management in football how they actually conduct themselves and talk in this scenario, this seems to really fits a lot closer to that than the theories we've drummed up and stuff. He may well have said, Steve, I'm not gonna have it. If you're gonna let him go, fine, but you're not. I'm sorry.
There were some other quotes.
Yeah.
I haven't got them down, where he basically sort of said, I said to the chairman, like, are you confident if we sell Mark? Are you confident in how we'll play out the season? Because if you ask me, I wouldn't. And I do think, Jack, Glasner does strike me as a fairly sort of cut and dry, straight talking person, and you can tell there was that press conference 2 or 3 weeks ago where he was clearly very angry about things that were going on. I don't think he hides it very well. So I think if he is talking like this, you kind of have to take him at face value that this is how it played out, and it maybe wasn't as sensationalist as the media like to make out on deadline.
What?
But that kind of vocal irritation and frustration prior to the window closing, those quotes you mentioned, did feed into that idea of he's gone in there and kicked the door down and said, Steve, get out from under that desk.
Get out of that sauna.
Yeah. So put the mat away.
I think this is a man who, in the approaching 2 years that we've had him as manager, or 18 months as it probably more accurately is, I think integrity means a lot to him. And his own integrity means a lot. And he probably doesn't want to be... If this is how it played out, and I agree with you, I will take him at his word, absolutely, given what he said previously and how he's delivered on what he said. He probably doesn't want any... Even if it's just one fan in Selhurst thinking he was going to walk, he probably doesn't want one person to think that, if that wasn't the case. And that's what I watched that press conference. I watched the whole of it back, and I think he wanted to set the record straight on that. And then once he'd done that, he was then, happy to move on to the conversation about the Sunderland game, and talked about the signings and the likelihood of seeing Christian Tasuce and the future prospects of JD Camvo. He then kind of got onto what he noticed about. But I think he went into that press conference wanting to say that and make it clear. And I will take him at his word. And I think if that's what he says, then I'm happy to kind of consider that to be the way it played out. I'm sure there were elements of the conversations that he was having with Parish and others around the club, as Joe just said, saying, "Are you sure this is a bad? I really think this is. I really wouldn't advise that we do this. I think this is a terrible decision." I think he probably was of that opinion. But whether he actually uttered a threat to walk away from the club, I wouldn't have blamed him. But even when I read that story, I didn't really think it would have been said with all seriousness. Because even if you take Mark Gay out of this squad, supposing a replacement of some degree came in, whether it was Igor Julio or someone else, turned out to be no one in the end, other than Cambo signed, as a future investment. I think there's other strengths in this squad that means that Mark Gay, it wouldn't have toppled over. It wouldn't have been as good as this season is hopefully going to be, but the manager still, knows that he's looking a good squad in the face on a daily basis. He's got some very good players. I don't think he would have walked, but I think they would have had some strong conversations to say, I would advise you don't follow that idea.
I do think those conversations happen most weeks up and down the country at football clubs. Like, you're talking about millions of pounds and big responsibilities. I think that happens a lot. What I like about Glasner is I think he's in front of the cameras. He's absolutely class. Like, the way he conducts himself is so good. And I probably haven't... We're talking about the back three earlier and being confident in them. I probably haven't been as confident. Easy to say when he's literally won us 2 trophies this year. But, like, in terms of a manager and the way he conducts himself and the decisions he makes and his influence behind the scenes, I'm just so confident with him. I feel so safe with him in the driving seat. And probably have had that in spells with previous managers, but not over the course of the whole 2 years, and it might only be to end up being just under 3 years or whatever, But
I'd not seen that clip of I think it was before the home game against Fredrikstad, where Dean Henderson's asked a rather loaded question about, basically, can you name me 2 Fredrikstad players?
I didn't see that. Dean
Henderson didn't have the answer, and understandably so. Oliver Glasner just gets in the way of it and handles it beautifully. And he's a class operator. You can tell I got that sense from him quite soon after he joined. The stuff he would say to the fans. When he joined, he had very good English. It wasn't a case of him being, mistranslated or anything like that. He was very eloquent, and that's just improved. And he's built his own confidence with his language. And now he just kind of stands very sure when he speaks to the press, whether it's pre-game, post-game, or in those kind of pre-match presses a couple of days before games. But yeah, I think it was his right of reply basically to what those articles were saying in the days afterwards, and now he's closed that chapter. And I think, for me personally, I'm done with that. I won't be thinking about that deadline day at all anymore.
Let's move on briefly then before we break for 3, 2, 1 with an update from across the pond, Jack, because Wilf had a fairly high-profile opponent this week, and we won't always talk about Wilf. I feel like we do quite often talk about him. It's been a while since he's left us, but he still has our hearts. I know. But you wanted to talk about this because this is a big moment for an ex-Palace legend, isn't it?
I just really enjoyed the Palace goat going up against the goat and coming out on top, to be honest. He's had those 2 moves to Galatasaray and Lyon, which I think it's fair to say did not go to plan. But this move to Charlotte is proving to be the one for him. And albeit it's a level maybe below, but it's still competitive. He is one of the star turns in that league this season, and is inspiring Charlotte to a far better season than I think Charlotte were anticipated to have. They're heading towards the playoffs at a canter. I think they're 9 unbeaten, and Wolves are a real part of it.
9 straight, yeah.
Was it 9 straight wins?
I think it might even be 9 straight wins. Don't hold me
well,
to that,
they're absolutely on fire,
Yeah.
and Wolves a big part of that. And I just really enjoyed his kind of pre-match comments about playing Messi. He was very respectful, but basically said, once the game starts, I don't care who I'm playing against. And he played like it. I've only seen the extended highlights of the game, but he looked like he was having great fun. And he looks fit, firing, and ready to go in that league. And I think he's catching up on lost time, because I think he probably would consider that 18 months at Galatasaray and Lyon as wasted time. And he's doing well. And yes. I love to see a happy Wilf. Yeah. It's great to see.
Yeah.
And you got to think so he wins a penalty in that game for 3-0. It comes from a 1-2 where he leaves Rodrigo de Paul, World Cup winner, on his backside.
Yeah.
And then charges into the box from there and gets fouled by Sergio Busquets, who can't get near him. You think, this is love. This is exactly this is what he should have. This is always how he was meant to live his life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
he's the belle of the ball over there. He's loved by the Charlotte fans. I mean, it's not to the same degree that we loved him, but you can tell they are absolutely loving having Wilfried Zaha play for them.
And they're going to be devastated when he leaves in January to come back. But they've got a real chance of winning that. They go to a playoff system, so even if you top the league, you still go.
Well, they could win their conference. They could win their conference plate, which would be a massive achievement for Charlotte. And I think they've still got 4 league games to go. And then, as you say, Joe, they then enter the playoffs. And I will not testify to knowing how that all works, but could be an interesting.
But they got a real chance, and I guess that's his. If he achieves that for them, they're only a team in their current guys. I think they've only been around for 5 years or so. So
yeah.
That would be massive for them in that area. I think he's scored in both derbies this season, like home and away.
Against Atlanta, yeah.
Yeah, so who are a much bigger, much more supported team than them. There's a lot of players that go over there and have limited impact other than on their wallets, and I feel like Wolves actually contributing stuff on the pitch, which is more than because to be said for, I don't know, Frank Lampard, Steven Gerrard, who was Andrea Pirlo was absolutely terrible over there, wasn't he? There's a lot of people that go there to coast it, and he's just not allowed himself to do so.
Knowing what we know of Wilf, that's not. He's so passionate. He wants to win every game. He wants to win every training session. So that's just in his nature. He's not able to go over there and do nothing.
The headlines early on and a couple of times since have been more about him slagging off players in the view of the public, because he's trying to drum up the quality, and that's
he did that here.
They're not used to. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, they're not. I think they weren't used to that. I think they thought he was gonna just head down, lead by example, like a great. When actually it's a little bit of that in there as well. But
can I just say, do you know what? He's doing a good job dragging that team through, because have you seen some of the names in the squad? I mean, the aforementioned Tim Ream, who was actually in that photo of Wilf and Messi shaking hands, which is a great photo. Tim Ream's in the background. You've also got the likes of Harry Toffolo, who I haven't thought about for a couple of years. Ashley Westwood.
He's the club captain, mate.
Club captain. Yeah. And who else? There was another random person in there as well. I can't see who it is. But
their number 9, who was running away with the goals, got to move to Derby County in the summer. That's
right.
Patrick Agimang.
Yeah. That's what you're kind of looking at.
Yeah,
the guy who's come in instead got a hat trick in that Miami game. Wilf let him have the penalty for the hat trick, which has been considered an act of great sportsmanship over there.
Because that's progress for Wilf as well.
Yes,
that's big progress. Right, good stuff. That wraps up kind of our any other business section, which I feel like I'm going to try and do future pods. Maybe we need to get a new name for that feature if we can think of one where we sort of do any other sort of bits and bobs. Right, after the break, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to the 5-Year Plan podcast. It's time for 3, 2, 1. This is where we give out 3 points, 2 points, and 1 point to 3 players from the previous game. We tot up the scores. Currently leading the way significantly with 8 points is Will Hughes. Second with 4 points is Adam Wharton. And joint third with 3 points, Dean Henderson and Mark Gahey, Mateta, Sosa, Lacroix, Kamada, Munoz and Mitchell all on 2. Guys, I'm going to give you all 3 votes this week because obviously I wasn't at the game, so I don't think it's fair to me to nominate. So you can do, I guess, one each and then share one, however you want to go. Jack, you can go first.
Okay, I'm going to go Daishi Kamada.
Ooh.
Nice.
Yeah, he's settled now. He's a Premier League player. He looks good. He played 2 roles on Saturday. In fact, he played 3 roles. He played both sides behind Mateta, and then dropped deeper when Glasner tried to mix it up by bringing on Devaney for Jefferson Lerma. Who I don't think it was the game for Jefferson Lerma. He couldn't pass on Saturday. It just wasn't happening for him.
I thought he might actually play Devaney and Pino in the 10s and Kamada deeper next to Hughes. Do you think he maybe should have gone for that?
I may have actually played Devaney as the 6.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
He won't get points, I don't think. But I thought Devaney in that last 15-20 minutes got a lot of space and actually was making himself very useful when he come on.
He's growing and he's having a good couple of weeks. You know, obviously the Community Shield was fantastic, but he's had some very impressive performances for Northern Ireland as well. I think he bagged his first goal. Against Luxembourg and then got the assist against Germany. Yeah. So yeah, he's having a good couple of weeks and he looks more confident. I agree with you, Joe. I thought his appearance was good on Saturday. But Kamada, I mean, the star moment for him would have been that assist had Pino put the chance away.
Oh yeah.
We'd be talking about that assist for weeks and months to come. It was absolutely fantastic.
Shades of Wharton to Nketiah against. Did we? I think that was a draw as well. What game was that where Wharton had his unbelievable pass at Selhurst, puts Nketiah through, and he just blows.
Was that the Villa game? Was that Villa 4-1? Was it?
No, it was a free. It was definitely a Saturday 3:00. Wharton.
Yes.
First half.
That was Ipswich. That was Ipswich when Nketiah got the chance. Yeah, but no, I think Daishi Kamada looks incredibly settled. He's so trusted by this manager. Obviously, their time together pre-Palace, says a lot for their relationship.
But I thought he's trusted by the fans too now.
100%. That dynamic has changed wholeheartedly. Like you don't hear any criticism, even if he has a couple of moments where he lost the ball in places where you want him to do a bit better. On Saturday, rewind 12 months ago, we're all thinking, it's because he's lightweight, he can't do a job. Yeah. But actually, he is at it, and actually was unlucky to not score his first Premier League goal on Saturday. 2 chances, 2 very good saves. The first one in particular from Roofs is Roofs. Have I got that right? Robin Roofs.
Roofs. Yeah.
They kept singing the roofs on fire. So
you're good. You're good.
But the first save in particular was excellent. But yeah, Daishi, I think his first Premier League goal might be coming. I'm right in saying he hasn't scored a Premier League goal. Oh no, so far he scored at Villa.
I think Villa.
I can hear Selzy saying that he hasn't scored in the Premier League, so it's fine. In the winds on the Sussex coast, I can hear.
You're right. No league goals. Yeah.
So yeah, I'll put Daishi Kamada forward.
Love that. Joe, who would you like to nominate?
I'll go Pino. There could well be people listening, given what we said earlier, who might be thinking, yeah, a lot of what he didn't come off and actually was a little bit too frantic. But I just saw enough that made me excited. I liked how much he wanted the ball. And I think he's going to be at the heart of so much good stuff between now and the end of the season, as he was in that game. Despite things not coming to what we hoped for, I felt he was at the heart of everything that was exciting in that game.
Yeah.
Good. I assumed he'd be on. I think he actually won man of the match, the official Palace man of the match or something.
Set pieces
Palace
as well.
Emailing me about, which is I keep trying to block it. But was he on set pieces then? Was he?
Yeah, second half he took some decent set pieces as well. So that was good to see that side of it as well. But yeah, I agree with you. We talked about him plenty in the first part, but some lovely touches. And as I said, I think he's ready to go. I think he'll be starting the majority of league matches. Now I see the dynamic of him and Sarr. I think him and Kamada might have maybe tried to run the same lines a little bit on Saturday. 2 clever footballers who could interlink quite nicely, but Sarr will provide that dynamism in the final third that maybe Pino hasn't got.
And it will be Sarr on the right, Pino on the left.
Yeah.
Throw them at West Ham on the weekend. Come on.
I think he said. I think Glasner said that Sar.
He says Wharton and Nketiah will be back in a squad for the West Ham game. He thinks Sar more likely the week after.
Right.
But I mean, given what we were said, what it looked like they might be out for, that's a big relief, I think.
And just briefly on Pino and Kamada before we move on to the third nomination, did anyone attempt to sing the "We've Got Pino Kamada" from the stands? Did anyone hear that? It's been
if they did,
online a lot.
If they did it, they did it in a toilet cubicle to themselves. No one had that, I don't think.
It feels like it should work, but I feel like actually in practice it probably wouldn't.
Maybe
a bit like, sorry, Jack, a bit like the insistence of the player may be gone, but the Mateus Francis chant can't go. So the words being changed didn't really.
Is that what's happened? What for Pino?
No. As in just, I think the HF even put a post out and said, "Look, we're sticking with this chant."
Oh, right.
And so it's just a more generic Palace themed one.
Okay.
Which defeats the purpose because it's Mucho Mambo.
It's a Brazilian. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Never mind. All right, let's move on to our final nominee then, guys. And I guess I'll sort of leave it to the both of you if you've got anyone else that you think deserves a mention.
If I start the bidding,
to be fair, Jack, you took my second choice, so I'm kind of an open book here. So go for it.
We've talked about the back three, and it's another clean sheet. Can we give some love to Chris Richards?
Yeah, go on then.
I like that.
Go on then.
Yeah.
Again, a team like Sunderland are going to come. The joy they're going to get if they're trying to go forward is, a big lump up front, and they had one. No joy, no dice.
Well, they tried two different approaches. Wilson Isidore, I think, is probably a better bet at getting in behind.
Yeah,
he tried it both sides. Mark Gay, obviously, no luck whatsoever. But Chris Richards, he kept going at Chris Richards, and Chris Richards was like, "I'm not having it. You're not having it." And then they brought on, I think, Brian Brobby.
Yeah.
I just want to call Mr. Blobby.
Brian Brobby.
Brian Brobby. Brian. Maybe I'm mispronouncing it.
It's exactly how you say it.
He's a great name.
Ajax number 9, a terrible Ajax number 9.
Now a Sunderland number 9.
Now a Sunderland number 9.
Kind of think a slightly more svelte Adebayo Akinfenwa is how I kind of saw him. He kind of came on, looked like he was going to cause a world of pain for everybody, and then
Akinfenwa. I don't even know what that looks like.
Well, it's like slightly trimmer Adebayo Akinfenwa. More threatening, looks more threatening than he actually posed to our defence. But again, more physical. And I think Lacroix dealt with him very well. But then he also backed onto Chris, and Chris Richards just dominated him in the first battle between those two, and he never went asking again. And I love Chris Richards.
I love Chris Richards. I really like him. And
he travelled, across the Atlantic, and came back. Probably landed a similar time to when Uche landed on Thursday. Straight out training on Friday, and delivered a very, very good performance on Saturday. And there's I know he came in for Chalobah in January when Chalobah got recalled. So in theory, you could say, well, he's maybe the weaker of the three. I don't even think it's that type of conversation anymore. I just think he does his job now.
Yeah. I agree.
I've got no desire to spend money on that back three.
They all do great jobs. In fact, his aerial numbers are excellent. Richards, I think, probably better than the other two. Like, doesn't get beaten in the air. They all do three different things. I think that's what makes that back three work. I think is they are three different players who are able to sort of interlink and work together. So, I absolutely love Chris Richards. Whether it's like on the pitch or off it, he's embraced TikTok. He's in all his girlfriend's TikToks. He's doing fits for match day. I just love him. Everything about him, I think, is great.
Do you know? It just came to mind. Do you know the last time Palace lost at home?
The last loss. The last loss was Newcastle away, the 5-0.
Was it Arsenal before Christmas?
No, it's just after Valentine's Day, the 15th of February.
Ooh,
Everton.
Everton. God, of
Really?
course.
I don't remember.
Yeah, that the game of the Tyreek Mitchell sort of throwing it, putting a Beto through on goal.
Yeah,
I don't remember that at all. So we haven't.
Yeah.
So how many home games? So what's that in months? That's 7 months.
7 months.
7 months. And how many games do we think that is at home?
Well, the hill I will die on is in football cross seasons. You cannot talk about months, given that 3 of them didn't count.
Yeah, it's a fair point. I mean, all those players were technically Palace players during that time. So, but no, you're right. Probably doesn't count. No, that is impressive. So, how are we going to split these points? So we've got Kamada, Pino, and Richards. You guys got any strong feelings about who gets what?
Richard's the one, I suppose, and then I'm quite happy for Kamada to have the 3. I just wouldn't think of many other examples where that will be the case.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'm happy to be wrong about that.
If you think of the best bit of quality in that game was the assist.
Yeah.
If he, as I said, if Pino had scored that, then Pino would get the 3 as the match winner. But let's maybe give the non-assist, the assist that never was, maybe the 3 points.
And on another day, actually, Roast doesn't get to a couple of those pile drivers, and Kamada, one of those
Kamada
goes in.
one.
And
Suddenly
they were good strikes.
The talisman of the day. Yeah.
No, fair play. I'm delighted to give Kamada 3 points. That might be his first ever 3 points. But that puts him on 5, which puts him in second place behind Husey. Pino joins that other group with 2, and then Richards is propping up the table with 1. Lovely stuff. Right, quick break, and when we come back, super quick preview of the Millwall Cup game. Welcome back to the FYP podcast. We are playing Millwall at home on Tuesday night. You may well be listening to this post that game. If you are, then wow, what a great result. 7-0. Can't believe it. I think we thought, Joe, before the game that there might be some rotation. Glasner has spoken today and confirmed that Walter Benitez will be in goal and that JD Canvo, finally JD gets the nod at Selhurst Park, will be playing at the back. I'd imagine that's probably for Mark. I don't know. Do you think we'll see any other switch? Surely it's a start for Romain Essa. Surely.
Yeah, I think that's since been confirmed as well. I think
has it?
Romain Essa, I think Romain Essa, Borna Sosa. So, while Glasner does like to go best foot forward in the cups as much as possible, I suppose we've got the squad now to actually take a few moments to rest. And given the extra competition we're in this year, we're going to need these moments to do it. Otherwise, poor Walter Benitez is never going to get a game this season. And for someone like with Convo, whatever, yes, he's a young prospect. I think he's only played 1 full season of senior football, and he's 19. We have paid more for him than we did for Mark Gay. So
have we?
Yeah. So there's going to be a level of player I'm expecting. However, chucking a 19-year-old in against Millwall, welcome to English football, JD Canva.
He's played 1,000 minutes of first team football.
Wow.
Well, there you go. So
he did look quite good for was it France under 21s during the break?
Yes.
I think it was. He did look particularly good there.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how much of that type of play he'll be allowed to do in this game. It'll be certainly an introduction to the more physical side of the lesser sides in this country, if you like.
Well said.
I'm interested. This is it's now an extra layer of excitement and intrigue for me because while I'm keen for the Palace to give Millwall a lesson on the pitch, I also want to see these players get 90 minutes or an hour here and there, see what they're really about, see what Cristante Uche is about. Maybe Pino gets another extended appearance. Part of me would love to see Jean-Philippe Mateta exact some horrific revenge on a player, if not the team.
Well,
generally.
Liam Roberts won't be there. I think he's left.
No.
Millwall, hasn't he?
He plays for someone else now. Yeah.
We're at Mansfield. He's at, and
Joe's tracking him.
Yeah, mate, he's a Palace legend. He cleared the path. That game could have been tricky, and he just made it a lot easier for us. Palace legend.
But little did we know that was the day that Palace should have been checking their emails rather than
yeah. But I think we've got enough. I know that we'll take the game seriously, and I think any player that won't be on that pitch very long.
Well, with this manager, there's no question of that.
Yeah.
Cup competitions are cup competitions, and obviously, if you said to me at the start of last season you're going to win one of the 2 cup competitions, we all would have probably chosen the FA Cup. Yeah. But if we'd won the League Cup last year, we'd all have been delighted and probably would have just been on the Raz from about mid-February until the end of the season.
Oh yeah, really early doors, wasn't it?
Well, you saw what how Newcastle celebrated winning that.
Yeah.
And they were like,
Did they win the League Cup last year? I didn't hear much about that.
No, well, exactly. There's my point. They were all the scenes that we had. They had
and quite
crying
right.
their eyes out
for a
cat. Yeah,
quite right. And they're
the streets of Riyadh won't ever forget those days. Fantastic.
Well, they are undoubtedly a bigger club than us, and they. Quite rightly, it's a big cup, and we would have massively enjoyed that. So, as it was, we got the.
Well, it's nice to enter here the 3rd round. Well, this is our debut into the cup.
Hey, look, triangular corner flags. third round of the League Cup. We are massive, guys. It is official. We are massive.
Yeah.
Jack, there aren't as many options going forward. I think Mateta almost certainly starts, given that Glasner said Nketiah and Wharton are.
Gotta say though that I love JP as I do. He struggled on Saturday. He needs a break. He needs a break. And I wonder whether Christantas Uche rides in and does whatever the hell he might do in a Palace shirt.
He can play in multiple positions.
Yeah,
can't
he played up front for Getafe at points, albeit they're slightly more defensive setup. So he was playing almost as a false nine. I understand when he played up top, but I mean, it looked from his cameo on Saturday, looks like he could do anything. Play him in goal. Absolutely wild. Chaos. He's going to bring the chaos, this guy. Let's be honest. And Millwall at home.
I was going to say,
as his debut.
Definitely nailed on yellow from Christantas Uche.
Look,
we could be watching a Palace cult hero in action Tuesday night.
We either win 3-0 tomorrow night, or Christantas Uche is sent off after 9 minutes. Jailed. He could bring the chaos tomorrow night. But,
I can't wait to see him.
Yeah, I'm interested. It's a good opportunity if you just take the emotion of it being a South London derby and it being that lot. It's a decent cup draw for Palace. It's a championship team, a lower rated championship team, a non-league team from down the road,
an insignificant
team. Rabble of people that are going to turn up. But no, if you just look at it as a cup tie, it's a lower league team at home in the third round of the cup, and then I think the fourth round is effectively the last 16. So then you're talking about quarterfinals, and we got very excited about the quarterfinal at Arsenal last year. So
two leg semi-finals, I forgot about those.
Don't get him dreaming already, listener.
Long way to go. Long way to go before then. Plenty more trips, guys. We'll wrap up there. Lovely.
I've got a quiz. Do
you? I didn't even know you had a quiz. Oh, wow, God. A surprise quiz, the best kind.
Well,
of quiz.
It's a line-up special, Jim. So,
hang on.
Are you boys ready?
Got some pad. Got my pad. Got a bit of. Go on. Let's go for it. This is great.
So we are going back to 8th of January, 2022, to the Den. I thought March's game against Millwall was too soon, but I'm happy to go back in time a little bit. The day of Colonel Mustard, listener. If you were with us back then. But here's what I'm going to do, boys. I'm going to give you 1 point for any Palace player that started. I'm going to give you 2 for any Millwall player that started.
No. Oh, okay.
1 life each, and a substitute who came on will not lose a life. So, Joe, let's start with you, mate.
Conor Gallagher.
Conor Gallagher started, so that's 1 point for Joe.
Michael Elise.
Yep, 1-1.
Everett Chiesa.
Yep, started. Yeah, 2-1, Joe.
A rare Vieira start.
A rare Vieira start, yeah.
From memory, didn't have a brilliant game, I don't think. Jean-Philippe Mateta.
Jean-Philippe Mateta scored, yes, from a starting berth. So, yeah, 2-2.
Jack Butland.
I was trying to work out who was in goal. I knew it was...
It's a tricky afternoon for Jack as well. Got the Millwall assist, I believe. Yeah, 3-2. Joe Walker.
Tyrek Mitchell.
Yep, 3-3.
Will Hughes.
Yeah.
Will Hughes, great shout.
That's who I.
Fantastic.
That was my last one. That's the last one I've got. So now I'm
4-3.
Slightly struggling. I'm trying to go through the team. Let's assume that.
So you got the goalkeeper. Yes, that's 4-4. Yep, nicely done.
Joachim Andersen's alongside Mark.
Yeah, 5-4. Yeah, first choice centre half pairing. So you got two of the Palace starting 11 to start.
So that would I would assume that was a 3. Was it a 3? Did we play a 3 under Vieira? I can't remember. Mitchell. So who would have been at right back? It's either Klein or Ward, and I'm gonna go with Klein.
He came on, so you've not lost your life.
Blimey. Okay. So do I have to go again, or am I okay?
No, you skip a go, so Joe can take it.
So is Joel Ward, please?
It is Joel Ward. Yeah. 6-4. This creates a gap that might tempt you for a Millwall
then or something. I just sort of got a bit of a bye. Basically.
You just roll on. You just roll on, mate.
So we've got Ward, Mitchell, Gehi, Anderson.
I have created the rules and scoring of this on the hop, so I have no idea if this will work.
Gallagher and Hughes in the middle.
You've got one Palace player from the start.
Decore,
to get...
I think, had been injured by then. Had he or had he not? Was that the season he got injured at Luton? Oh, I can't remember. Was Decore injured or was Decore playing? Who else did we have in midfield around that time? I can't. Oh, okay. Do we think Jordan Ayew started in the front? Oh, no, or did Ebbs play deep? Okay, it's between Ayew and Decore, and purely based on more minutes, I'm going to go for Jordan Ayew.
I believe Jordan Ayew was at AFCON.
Oh!
So incorrect. So there's your life.
Okay.
Joe?
Would it have been Kouyaté?
That's your life. I believe Kouyaté had left the club. No, he hadn't left the club because he was also at AFCON.
Oh, also AFCON. How have I done that? Oh, okay.
So hang on,
boys.
I'm back in the game.
Yeah, but you've got no life and you're 2 points behind.
Okay.
Can I tempt you to Bermondsey?
Yeah, I've got a couple.
So hang on, just still on the Palace.
There's one
team.
Palace player.
Let's assume
player.
Then that Jeffrey Schlupp was at AFCON, and if Decore was fit, he was at AFCON as well. So neither of
who are you talking to, mate? What's your answer?
Just myself. I can't think of any Millwall players, so I'm gonna go.
Jim, just for the sake of continuity. In fact, no, I suspect one of those players you mentioned wasn't at AFCON.
Yeah, I think Schlupp didn't get the nod, so I'm going to say Jeffrey Schlupp.
Quite right. Okay, so we got the Palace 11.
I didn't want you to go out with that.
So it's 6-5. It's 6-5, but the win is still there. But Joe, it's over to you.
Benicophobe scored.
Yeah, he did score. Yeah. That's
Okay,
8-5.
I'm either looking now at Millwall starters or Palace subs.
Palace subs simply to stay in the game and keep breathing, mate. You need points. You need some Millwall players.
Oh, I can't think. I mean, do we? It's not the same goalkeeper, surely. 3 years.
No,
previous.
I will tell you that.
Okay, I don't. In that case, I really don't know any Millwall players. Oh
no!
Wait, hang on. Can I take a punt? Was it too early? But can I take a punt? Big punt on Romain Essa.
You can take that punt. You have lost the game.
Oh, that's all I had.
Well played, Joe. Well played. I actually can't remember the score. I think it's 8-5, but don't know. We might do away with that scoring system. I don't know if that worked for myself, let alone anyone else. Joe won either way. Go on, Joe. Give us a couple of your Millwall names.
I have one more. Lee Gregory. Did he play?
No, Lee Gregory not there. No.
Jed Wallace.
No.
No. Okay, I was.
Wallace is a good shout, though. Wallace is a good shout. Okay, well, there you go.
There is an EastEnders character in this team. If you wanted
Billy
to.
Mitchell.
Billy Mitchell.
I'd say Phil. So
and Sharon Watts at left back. Unbelievable. Millwall's team was George Long, Sean Hutchinson, Alex Pearce, Jake Cooper, who was that bit. I think he's still there actually. Dan McNamara, who once got told could have got played in the Palace team and I laughed that bloke out the pub. Billy Mitchell, George Saville, Benicophobe, who you got. Shea Ojo, Tom Bradshaw, Scott Malone.
That is shocking.
I honestly
the
don't remember.
Palace subs that came on, Nathaniel Klein, you got. Some of these, it's completely played with my mind that these guys are still at the club. Gyro came on.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Luca came on.
Right. Oh. Okay, yeah.
Christian Benteke and Odsonne Edouard also came on.
Oh, Edouard, of course. Yeah, Edouard.
Yeah.
Luca being phased out, I guess, at that point.
Phased out / doing well to still be at the club.
Yeah. Bless
him. We'll do a Luka Milivojevic retrospective one day, and we'll be kind.
Why not? Yeah, why not? We've got a few retrospectives in the bank. I think
if you're listening, Luca, if you're listening, come on over, mate.
Absolutely.
Surely
that'd be lovely.
Should have probably done it when England were playing in Serbia all of a week ago.
Yeah. Hey, it's not like us to be not on the pulse. Anyway,
one step behind FYP.
Oh, speaking of, would you like to play music out then, Joe, for winning that? Any songs come to mind?
What would have? I don't know what. I don't even want to know what was number one in that day in 2022.
I haven't got that for you, I'm afraid.
I've got nothing. Fly Like an Eagle by Seal.
Yes, why not? Thank you, lads. I love that. If you want post-match, if in doubt, Fly Like an Eagle. Rob and I will be at Selhurst Tuesday night to do a quick post-match pod. There was already a preview up. There'll be a supplement recording tonight and plenty more coverage at the FYP Clubhouse, which is the link below, patreon.com/FYP podcast. Lovely catching up with the two of you, and we'll be back again next week, of course, to chat on, I guess, 2 games, Millwall and West Ham. But until then, enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks for your support, and we'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.